So why is the U.S. allowing its declining education, healthcare, standard agriculture, and job security? And why does the media never mention Libya's achievements? Our declining levels of education means that there's less and less ability for the powerful to be thwarted in the takeover of our institutions, and we don't fight back to forfeit our rights. We don't question our jobs being outsourced, where U.S. companies actually have to pay more to employ you than a foreign employee overseas. We should at least allow that to go through that same window of overseas purchasing, so that U.S. companies aren't literally disadvantaged to somebody operating overseas. This is a serious problem. Because people are under constant economic pressure since the 1970s, the wife has had to enter the workforce to make ends meet. They really don't have time to question authority, and the media is increasingly reflecting the views of its owners. In addition, the Fair Use Act, which said that there had to be some public benefit to the use of our airwaves, was repealed. So who are we killing in Libya? Well, here's a young man that we're killing. And remember, every time we flatten a tank, there's 3 or 4 of them in there. It could be your sons too. So then what I want to look at, indicators. I don't know where Libya stacks up in here. There's nothing that jumps out at me here. The other thing I want to show you is the PISA scores for education, and this will all be available online. So here's our problem with education in this country. It just doesn't pass the sniff test. It has been in decline since the 70s. It is convenient for the people who control this country. It does feed into the police and criminal justice and correction system, which has been growing extremely rapidly. The Defense Department has exploded while we don't have any real wars to speak of going on. These wars are wars of choice. They're unnecessary. We could just pull up tomorrow and leave and save all that money. And it doesn't seem to be doing us any good to be in Iraq and Afghanistan unless we want to be some kind of dark force of empire terrorizing the world. So what we really get out of this whole pie chart really is half of this public health care, because the other half is wasted. That's true with private as well. We get some of this other public sector expenditures, and we get this little tiny sliver for education. Imagine if all that was for education, what kind of a super planet we'd live on. So another example of how education is problematic for us, these are the PISA scores. Top country in science, math, science, and reading. South Korea and Finland both do well. Singapore. Then down here is the United States in bottom, in 7th from bottom, in the middle. Not very good. So it doesn't pass the sniff test, it doesn't pass the investment test, it doesn't pass the actual test. So let's just go through these figures briefly. In life expectancy, Libya is #1 in Africa and has a low infant mortality rate. And I created a scoring system, so it scores 85, the highest in Africa. These poor blighters have scores that just you won't see anywhere else in Chad. 50's average life expectancy, 12.3% of all babies die. It's horrendous compared to Japan, with 83 as the average life expectancy and 3 in every 1,000 dying. And the United States, where is the United States in all this? Here we are. We have a score of 135. And Israel is better than us, so is Canada. So is Norway. So are all of these countries in Europe. They're all better than us. All of them except for these. So we're in the same level as Cyprus, apparently, as a total score. Or Denmark, pretty close to Denmark, but UK, France, all of these outperform us with these at the very top. And in the New World, we and Cuba are almost identical. They're 136, and what are we? 135. They slightly beat us. So there's this horrible prisoner pie, this cancer on our economy. These are the classes of prisoners: mentally ill, property criminals, violent criminals, white-collar criminals. Most of these people do not need to be in prison because it's a mental illness issue, it's a poverty issue, or in the case of white-collar criminals, they can be put to use probably teaching the other criminals. I don't know what, but it's a joke to think we have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars of years making them sit in one place as the best way to tackle problems. And so these are the number of prisoners in each country, and the U.S. has 2 million, Libya has 6,000, 9,000. Yeah, there it is. And let's see here. I don't think Libya is even mentioned in here. Ones who have even less than us: Netherlands, Switzerland, Pakistan, Iceland, Sweden, Chile. Russia is pretty crazy. Okay, so let's keep moving along here. This is a picture of military expenditures showing just how insanely high the U.S. military expenditures in. This is, I think, incarceration. Sorry about that. Expenditure. That shows. The other map was a correctional map that showed America, the correctional capital of the world, and followed by Russia, Belarus. So we are actually India 9. That's pretty amazing. Now, this is a map of percent of GDP spent on military. And it's a vast understatement because the U.S. actually has around 8% military spending, from what I can tell, not 4.6. But it puts us at a big competitive disadvantage.